not as bad as I thought. Not as bad as I thought at all. So welcome to the Atlanta race review. First actual race of the season, to be honest. Daytona 500 doesn't count. This one is the one where you see like who has actual speed. Before we actually talk about the entire race in general. Yes, this had the new 2019 package, but it is not the whole 2019 package. It is the one without the aero ducts, and that's a massive deal because aero ducts add a lot of drag to the front of the car, which is a good thing. Really what's needed for this package, but because drivers had to use a little bit of brakes, they did not include the aero ducts into the car. So this one is the semi-formal introduction to the 2019 package without it being completely the 2019 package. You'll see that next week at Las Vegas. So let's talk about the race. It was a long one, almost 4 hours, almost 4 hours, 3.5 hours. I'm on a big thing of I really want shorter races. So that was definitely a long race, and the first half of it was not to say. I don't think it was the most entertaining. I think drivers were learning themselves about the package and stuff. To be fair, the racing in the first half of the race was also very similar to what we saw last year, but in just completely different ways. When I mean it was similar, I'm talking about interval gaps and just the spreading out of the field. That is similar. The way you drive the car is completely different, but that doesn't come across on TV as much as it does, if you're actually in the car. The drivers had I wouldn't say they had less work. I mean, they're still working hard in the cars, but it was a little bit easier work, to say the least. They definitely weren't sliding around as much as they were last year, and that was a little bit of a different aspect, but it made the restarts better. Now, the restarts, they were also full throttle, and what I was pleased to see, this was something I was worried about, was just the speed of the cars. On restarts, even though they're going pretty slow into turn 1 and 2 because it takes a while for them to get up to speed, it looked pretty good. I don't know how to explain it. It came off on TV looking pretty nice. The sense of speed was still there, and I didn't mind it. I know, it's weird for me to say that. I really didn't mind it. I thought it was better than what we had in the previous years. I still think the cars needs to be upgraded, but we're not going to get that until a few years from now. So judging it on what we have to work with, it's an improvement from last year. That's the overall consensus of the race. Now let's talk about the few little details within the race. Your stage winners were Kyle Larson and Kevin Harvick. Now, I don't think throughout the race there was a dominant car. Now, the thing with this new package, I think there will be dominant cars. I think you're going to have races that is led specifically by one driver for a lot of it, like one guy dominating a lot. I think that will happen in the future. It's just for this race, you had a few really good cars, but not a standout dominant car. I think Kyle Larson's the perfect example of this. Kyle Larson got up to the front, and he stayed up towards the front, but then he got a speeding penalty on pit road. He fell to the back, and he could never get his way back to the front. Now, this is something that's going to be a little bit of a learning curve with teams, is that Larson's car was really good out in front, but when it got back in traffic, he couldn't navigate his way through there, and it was just difficult for him to make passes because of the momentum and how key momentum is now, and how much dirty air does play effect into the races now. So one of the gripes I have with this package that I'm hoping Gen 7 fixes, and it's not going to be fixed with any Aero package, I'm just saying you need to fix it with the car, with the new Gen 7 car and the way the body is that the mid-corner speeds are going to be higher in this package, even though the horsepower is lower. So when everyone goes one speed, let's say next week, what I'm worried about is dirty air playing a massive factor into all of this. And I think you saw today, dirty air was a big factor, especially at the end of the race, when we get to the end of the race as well. But that's just something with, Larson, he couldn't really get back up towards the front. But then again, there are guys like that Truex at the beginning of the race was able to pass his way through the field. So maybe Larson's just a one-off thing. I don't know really what really happened to him. But Kyle Busch came from the back of the field. He was able to get up to the lead at one point of the race. I think you had Busch, you had Truex, you had Harvick, you had Blaney, you had Logano. All these guys were in the lead at one point of the race. And that's refreshing. Doesn't really matter how they get to the lead. Doesn't really matter whether through pit stops or green flag stops. But it felt like there was just not a dominant car, and then there was just multiple good cars. And so let's say if you're a fan of Ryan Blaney, he could be running fourth, but you kind of think he has a pretty solid chance, because if he just gets up into the lead, you never know. And it's not one of those things where the leader gets, I would say, with this package, he obviously has a clear advantage, but with the way Atlanta was, or it is, you can run multiple lanes, and it worked better than I thought. That's all I'm going to say about it. I really thought that it wouldn't work that well on a bumpy racetrack, but with the no aero ducts, the more downforce, and the lower horsepower, even though as a driver I would not enjoy it as much, as a fan watching, it was not bad. That's really, I'm going to say it's an improvement. It wasn't bad. I liked it. So there were also a lot of interesting runners up there. Like Daniel Hemrick was running well today. I don't remember the last time Austin Dillon wasn't the fastest RCR car. Daniel Hemrick was in the top 10 for a lot of today. He ran really well. Chris Buescher and Ryan Preece in the JTG Daughtry cars were running really well. And so that was surprising. What was a little bit surprising too were the Hendrick cars. The Hendrick cars were absolute crap. Jimmy Johnson was running 25th, and I'm not even kidding. I say that as an exaggeration a lot when I say, oh, he's running 25th. Yeah, he could be running 20th or 15th. No, today he was actually running 25th. He went multiple laps down. He was slow. I don't know what is going on with Hendrick Motorsports, but today was not a good test. That's not a good thing to show for the rest of the season. And let's see if they can improve on whatever they have to do. Chase Elliott was probably the best running of the Hendrick cars, but the highest he ever got up to was probably 11th. On the last restart, he got up to 6th. I don't remember how he got up there. I think he had older tires or something because he fell to the back really quick. But it was just not a good day for Hendrick Motorsports. So that's going to be very interesting to see how it works for them. Compared to last year, it's kind of the same runners up towards the front. Gibbs, like I said, Gibbs, Penske, and Stewart-Haas were all up there. And they all had one guy up there, but there was not a dominant car. So that was nice to see. Kyle Busch had an incident in the race. He actually was able to fight his way back from it, but he had a right rear tire go down. There was a lot of tire failures. Kyle Busch had a right rear tire go down because he hit the wall, and that ended up cutting the tire. But there was a lot of right front tire failures, especially at the end of the race with Logano and Blaney. Depending on how hard you push your car, this is not an Aero package thing. This is a Atlanta thing. It happens a lot with Atlanta. Depending on how you push your car, if you push it too hard, you wear out your tires too much, you can have a vibration. It could the abrasive racetrack can just loosen up the wheel. You could feel a loose wheel like that. And so, that's what happens to those guys. So there were a lot of that issue going on. I mentioned Ryan Preece earlier. He had a fantastic run. He surprised me. He was doing very well until he went on pit road. He had a really unfortunate incident on pit road. Mike Joy was really passionate about this one. Mike Joy he sounded very upset for a commentator at McLeod. He just stopped basically, but Preece could have avoided it, but he was looking down at his tack. So it's just a mix of, two kind of weird things happening, for also the section of NASCAR fans to come out and say they want pit road limiters and stuff, so drivers don't have to look down at their tacks and stuff, and we can have safety, because this incident, with the whole Ryan Preece and McLeod thing, that sent McLeod, I think, into a pit crew member. I don't know if it was that incident or another one. There might have been, no, I think it was another incident, not the McLeod one. There was something else, another incident on pit road, where someone got sent, and there's a gas man that got pinned against the wall and got injured. So I'm just saying, we could maybe I'm pit road limiters. I wouldn't mind, because drivers then I don't know, they can look up instead of looking down. That's why we don't text and drive. It's kind of like you should put that in the sport too. I don't know. This kind of weird thing I just went on. That ended Ryan Preece's day, and that kind of sucks for him. But then towards the end of the race, that caution with the Ryan Preece incident happened during green flag pit stops, and a lot of people already pitted, and that's how Joey Logano got the lead, with Kurt Busch in second, and who was leading before that, who was Ryan Blaney, fell all the way back and wasn't able to fight his way up because not another caution would happen. And now with the wave around rules, the wave around cars had to start behind a few lap cars, and so it just gave these guys a little bit of a buffer. Brad Keselowski did a really good job of getting through that little gap, along with Martin Truex Jr., and then Keselowski was able to pass Logano before Logano had to come down pit road, and Blaney had to pit as well, but he was further back in the field. And then the end of the race came with Keselowski and Truex, and it looks like for a second Truex was going to be able to run him down in typical Atlanta fashion, but Brad Keselowski was probably saving his stuff a little bit. I don't think he meant for a Truex to get that close. But he was probably saving his stuff a little bit, and then Keselowski, with 2 laps to go, pulled off a really good move to basically block the lane of Truex. And now this is something that, again, you will not fix with this package or last year's package. It is the car. You got to deal with it for another 3 years. So basically, all you got to do is take the line away, and Truex was kind of done at that point. He was able to run down Keselowski, but he wasn't able to do anything because as soon as he got to 2 to 3 tenths behind him, it is what it is. And again, that is shown in the front of the field mostly because at the front of the field, when you have 2 fast race cars, only a little bit separates the two. And add Aero into that, Aero push, and that plays a massive factor. So that's what kind of robbed us of a terrific Atlanta finish. Basically, I would have liked to seen an Atlanta finish. I had to do something on my phone there. I would have liked to seen a terrific, side by side Atlanta finish, but Aero push. He can't really do that. So Brad Keselowski wins the race. He is locked into the playoffs. I hate that stupid playoff thing, getting locked in so early. But he's locked into the playoffs, and let's go to the race results. It's Keselowski, Truex, Kurt Busch in a Chevy, which is going to be really weird for me to say is Kurt Busch in a Chevy. And yes, I'm on my laptop. This is the new phone thing, so this is going to be different than other race reviews because you're going to see my hands, and I'm going to be scrolling stuff on my laptop so I can see race results. So Keselowski, Truex, Kurt Busch, Harvick, and Clint Bowyer round out the top 5. Kyle Busch, Eric Jones, Eric Almirola, Chris Buescher, and Daniel Suarez round out the top 10. Buescher is obviously the standout there. He did really well all day in the JTG car. Ryan Preece would have been up there as well if it wasn't for that incident. But everyone up towards the front is your normal players. It's Toyota and Ford, with Kurt Busch as the random Chevy. But that's also in a Ganassi car, and so that was nice to see Kurt Busch run really, really well in that one car. I think he can really put Larson up to a battle at Ganassi, so that's going to be very interesting. But everyone else is your typical players, and it's not really any surprise. Even you go to 11th and 12th, it is Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin, or Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson. Just your typical players. I think you have to kind of push away Hendrick Motorsports for now and not really count them as a big team at the moment, because if they do have a good finish, it's usually with Chase Elliott running somewhere up in the top 10. Their 3 other cars right now were just not good enough. So you're looking at SHR, you're looking at Penske, you're looking at Joe Gibbs and Ganassi as that Chevy team that can also throw their number in there, and that's the main teams that are going to be finishing up there. So that's what you see in the top 12. Early on in the race, Ryan Newman and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. were doing really well as the Roush Fenway cars, and Ryan Newman was able to finish 13th. Let's see if they can maybe build on something, because it'd be nice to see Roush Fenway actually pick something up and actually run well. That would be nice. Paul Menard, Alex Bowman, David Reagan, Byron, Ricky Stenhouse, Elliott, Hemrick round out the top 20. And then the rest of the field with Dillon, Blaney, and Logano. Blaney and Logano had the loose tire issues. That's why they finished towards the back. Jimmy Johnson, I don't even know what to say about that anymore. I don't know. Hopefully he runs better at Las Vegas. It sucks seeing a 7-time champion run 25th. It just doesn't make sense. He's a 7-time champion, 83 wins. You would think he'd be running up towards the front. You don't really know what's going on. And then the rest of the field that rounds it out. So it's going to be only 37 cars are in this race. Wow. I thought there was more than 37 cars. I thought we had like a 40-car field or something. I don't know. Overall, the race was better. It was a better race. It was better than last year. And then next week's going to be the true test of the package. When you go to a smoother racetrack, Las Vegas is not completely smooth, but you go to a smoother racetrack where they will be full throttle for pretty much the entirety of a run. Let's see what happens. Comment down below with your thoughts on the race, with anything you want to say. And yeah, I'm pleasantly a little bit surprised, but still not going to be too optimistic until I see next week. I want to see what next week's about. If you guys like the video, make sure you hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram if you are not already, and I will see you guys later. Hope you're having a fantastic day, and peace out.